So I finally got around to watching Barbie due to all the mixed reviews surrounding the movie. And considering that Hollywood can reflect and influence culture, I thought that this movie was worth a view. Also, movies can be pretty entertaining. I'll give you my thoughts at the end of this video, so be sure to watch the entire video for full context. Before getting into the gender issues of this movie, it's important to note that movies are a form of art, and therefore this movie has artistic goals in capturing the world of Barbie through all the various means. And artistically speaking, this movie does an excellent job. The sets in Barbie Land are designed incredibly well and perfectly capture the plastic qualities of Barbie, with the cars, the roads, the dream houses, the hilarious fake food and drinks, and of course, the Barbies. It's exactly like all the toys that you've seen in commercials growing up. The Kens and Barbies in Barbie Land look perfect and plastic, just like the dolls do, with their perfect hair, perfect skin, and perfect teeth. It's purposely cheesy and childish. Artistically speaking, this movie gets an A+. But now it's time to explore the deeper gender issues of this movie. Spoilers ahead. It's important to note that if you do decide to watch this movie, that you watch it with an open mind. Because if you go in with this heavily ingrained preconception of what this movie is going to be and you aren't open to it being challenged, then you will very likely have confirmation bias. Because you will certainly find things in this movie that will leave you feeling convinced that you were right to begin with. For instance, extreme feminism, check. Extreme patriarchy, check. Simping weak men, check. Manipulative women, check. Many tropes are covered in this movie, but we need to take a closer look. In Barbie Land, Barbies run the world, and the Kens are practically useless second-class citizens. They have women in all professions: president, Supreme Court, doctor, lawyer, firefighter, and the list goes on. Kens are just Ken and are just there beaching, as they call it. Barbie has a perfect day every day, but Ken only has a good day if Barbie acknowledges him. The stereotypical Ken, played by Ryan Gosling, has his sole purpose in seeking the attention and validation from Barbie. Any person with a healthy mindset can see that this type of clingy, simping behavior is an incredibly unhealthy way to live. Now, I'm certainly not a huge fan of always creating incompetent male leads, such as Homer Simpson in The Simpsons and Peter Griffin in Family Guy, as these characters were likely purposefully created to be complete imbeciles, while their wives are far more competent adults. In all seriousness, these guys are only alive, let alone husbands, because of plot armor and the fact that it's a cartoon. But considering that Ken and Barbie are dolls, and the fact that it's the world of Barbie, it makes sense that Ken behaves this way. The movie says multiple times that nobody really cares about Ken. Even in the real world, little girls didn't really care about Ken at all. And in the off chance that you did see a Ken doll being played with, it was almost always with Barbie, because Ken's entire existence revolves around Barbie. And that's exactly what we see in the movie. We start to see the deeper side of Ken as he struggles to feel appreciated by Barbie, as Barbie takes him completely for granted, rejecting his advances and just using Ken for his attention and validation. This can be a direct parallel to how many men feel about modern dating, as many men may feel like they're used by women for attention and validation through social media and dating apps, as many women love the attention and ego boost, and women get far more attention than men do. But back to the story. Barbie and Ken have to go to the real world because Barbie's owner's actions have started directly affecting Barbie's life, thoughts, and appearance in Barbie Land. But when Ken and Barbie go to the real world, Ken gets exposed to what he believes is the idea of the patriarchy, and hilariously takes these new thoughts about men running the world back to Barbie Land. He becomes his idea of macho, and he eventually transforms Barbie Land into this caricature masculinized society known as Kendom, complete with his
Mojo Dojo Casa House.
Barbie gets exposed to a world that is run by men that tend to objectify her, and many women seem to hate Barbie for setting women back and not representing women well. This is shown in her encounter with the catcalling construction workers and Sasha, a teenage girl who Barbie mistakenly believes is her owner. It is revealed that Barbie's owner is actually Sasha's mother, Gloria, played by America Ferrera, who's having depressing thoughts and started playing with Barbie again and changed her appearance to be more relatable to her. This demonstrates an interesting phenomenon in how girls and boys differ when they play with toys. Lego did a study in how boys and girls play with toys due to girls not buying Legos nearly as much as boys did. The findings of this study were very revealing. In short, if you give girls and boys a Batman toy, boys will want to become Batman. Girls will want Batman to become them. Barbie starts to become like Gloria more and more, as her time in the real world causes her to start feeling complex human emotions and thoughts that she's never had to deal with before. Her entire worldview is challenged, which can be compared to how many men, especially in the red pill manosphere space, may think that women can be delusional and lack self-awareness. As the movie progresses, we also get to see more of Sasha and Gloria. They begin to grow a deeper connection with each other. Sasha slowly gains respect for Barbie, and when Barbie is feeling near her lowest, Gloria gives a heartfelt monologue regarding what it means to be a woman in today's world and the pressures that come with it. But whether you agree with it or not, just as we as men have the right to have our own space to share our struggles in today's world, the same should be afforded to women. And it would be beneficial for us as men to sit down and listen to these sentiments that these women share with the intent to understand and not to scrutinize or ignore. Men and women each experience different problems, and in seeking to understand the other, both men and women can make their way to find common ground. However, Barbies and Kens haven't reached common ground. As the movie goes on, there's a plan that the Barbies orchestrate to dismantle Kendom, a plan which could be seen by many as toxic, and in a way, it is. They start manipulating men by playing to men's egos and need to be a hero or helper, as well as preying upon men's insecurities, which causes the Kens to turn on each other. The Kens battle it out using hilarious weapons and attacks. I wish that worked in real life. This causes the Kens to miss an incredibly important Supreme Court hearing. The Barbie's plan succeeds and Barbie Land is restored. This whole arc, from the formation of the Kendom to Ken becoming an ultra macho dude to restoring Barbie Land, almost paints Ken as a villain, in which many may try to say is feminist BS, painting men as evil. But this would be inaccurate. Ken is not a villain, but rather a liberator, as his efforts actually helped unify the Kens. And when he breaks down, he helped open the Barbie's eyes to their poor treatment of the Kens and their lack of meaningful purpose and significance in Barbie Land. Remember, Barbie's main goal all along was to restore Barbie Land exactly to the way it was, which was a utopia for Barbies and more of a dystopia for Kens, all without consideration for how it would affect Ken. If anything, one could make the argument that the Barbies were far more neglectful and mean to the Kens than the Kens ever were to the Barbies, as even though the Kens had Barbies serve them in Kendom, they still enjoyed having Barbies around, unlike the Barbies. And all that Ken wanted all along was to feel appreciated, respected, and empowered. A deep discussion begins to unfold when Barbie comes to console Ken when he breaks down. It is in this moment that she realizes how Ken really felt all along and how living the way he did all those countless years impacted him. She apologizes to Ken for her poor treatment of him, but she tells Ken that he needs to figure out what his purpose is without Barbie. To which Ken begins to realize that rather believing the idea, "I'm just Ken," he starts to believe Ken is me. And after Ken accepts this, Barbie decides to become human in a quest for authenticity, as she always represented an ideal rather than the realities of womanhood. So now begs the question, is the Barbie movie feminist? Short answer, yes and no. Long answer, it's more complicated than that. There are certainly some moments that seem like feminist propaganda, such as President Barbie refusing to offer any Supreme Court positions to the Kens. But if anything, this movie could help men and women bridge the gaps and help them foster a healthy, productive discussion. For too long, we seem to have had an us versus them mentality, which is of course not helpful in creating good connections with each other. We have to start listening more to each other and not writing the other gender off. And as for us as men, we need to find what our identity is in the world and find our value. The bad news is that we're a blank slate and we have to make our value. The good news is that we're a blank slate and we can create our value. It all depends on your mindset. We can see from the movie that our identity is not found in women or validation, but rather what we choose to become, and that we should never lose sight of our true purposes in life. We as men can realize that when we truly invest in ourselves, we are enough. Okay, that was cheesy. Just roast me in the comments for that one. But what did you think? How do you think we as men and women can bridge the gaps between each other? Leave a comment down below, and if you've made it this far, you might as well click the like and subscribe button as well. Until next time, put in that mandatory work.